Now we're talking about the election. She, like many other celebrities after this election, decided to make her personal politics known. She wanted to launch an attack on not only Donald Trump, but his supporters. And she did so publicly on her Instagram story. And today we're going to read the statement and read.
Disney's live-action Snow White was initially announced as a bold reimagining of the classic tale, but it quickly turned into a cautionary tale for Hollywood. From Rachel Zegler's polarizing remarks to controversies over key creative decisions, the project was mired in problems from the start. Fans' reactions ranged from confusion to outright anger, while production costs spiraled out of control. Ultimately, Disney shelved the project, but the question remains, how did a film about magic and wonder become a symbol of mismanagement and disconnection? The trouble began with the casting of Rachel Zegler as Snow White. While talented, Zegler's outspoken nature made her a controversial choice for a role deeply rooted in nostalgia. Fans, many of whom grew up loving the original, had mixed feelings about her casting. The division grew wider as Zegler's comments about the original Snow White surfaced. She described the film as outdated and irrelevant, alienating those who cherished its charm and simplicity. For many, her remarks felt dismissive of a beloved piece of cinematic history. Instead of uniting audiences, the project had already begun to divide them.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. Super weird. So we didn't do that this time.
Rachel Zegler's statements about the original Snow White added fuel to the fire. In interviews, she criticized the 1937 classic, labeling it as outdated and problematic. She called the prince a creepy stalker and claimed the romantic themes didn't resonate with modern audiences. While some appreciated her modern perspective, many fans felt betrayed. Her dismissive tone wasn't just seen as a critique of the film's themes. It was interpreted as a rejection of its legacy. This backlash wasn't just about her words, but the larger implications. For generations, Snow White represented magic, innocence, and a bygone era of storytelling. By undermining its essence, Zegler unintentionally alienated fans who wanted the remake to celebrate, not critique, the original. This sentiment only worsened when Disney announced a major change, the replacement of the Seven Dwarfs with a diverse group of magical creatures. Fans wondered if the remake was even attempting to honor the original spirit or simply rewriting it entirely.
There are actors, dwarf actors, that that dream to be in a major motion picture such as this Disney remake. And now, because Peter Dinklage said what he said last year, now it's taken away.
The decision to replace the Seven Dwarfs with a diverse group of magical creatures further inflamed the controversy. Inspired by actor Peter Dinklage's critique of the original portrayal of dwarfs, Disney aimed for a more inclusive approach. However, this move sparked backlash from multiple fronts. Dwarf actors criticized the decision, arguing that it removed rare opportunities for representation in a major film. Fans of the original Snow White were equally upset, viewing the Seven Dwarfs as an integral part of the story's charm and legacy. The announcement divided audiences. While some appreciated Disney's attempt to modernize the tale, others felt it was pandering. Instead of enhancing the story, many argued that replacing the iconic characters detracted from its uniqueness. For these fans, the Seven Dwarfs weren't just side characters. They were the heart of the narrative, bringing humor, warmth, and depth to the original film. This creative decision, coupled with Zegler's comments, led to mounting skepticism about the remake's direction.
The people who, it seems to me, have really suffered in all this are the 6 dwarf actors who would have expected to have roles in this remake in a massive Hollywood blockbuster, who are now not going to have that experience, or the money, or the fame that may have come with it.
As controversies surrounding the Snow White remake grew, fans took to social media to voice their frustrations. Many accused Disney of prioritizing political correctness over authentic storytelling. What was meant to be a celebration of a beloved fairy tale had turned into a battleground for cultural debates. Critics argued that the changes, from replacing the Seven Dwarfs to Zegler's dismissive remarks, stripped the story of its original charm and nostalgia. For these fans, The magic of Snow White wasn't in its modern relevance, but in its timeless simplicity.
Continues to fail us in forging a new path forwards. This loss should not have been, and it certainly should not have been by so many votes. May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace.
Rachel Zegler's outspokenness extended beyond the film itself, further complicating matters. Her remarks about Donald Trump and his supporters went viral, sparking a political firestorm. In interviews and on social media, Zegler openly criticized Trump voters, calling them pitiful and disappointments. She even went as far as wishing they never knew peace. For a public figure leading a major Disney project, such statements were seen as inflammatory and divisive.
Rachel Zegler to behave normally just isn't an option either. So the other day, in response to the presidential election, Zegler had a very public meltdown on her Instagram stories. She wrote, quote, "F you, Donald Trump." Then she proceeded to insult the 75 million Americans who voted for him, quote, "I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred, leading us towards a world I do not want to live in."
The backlash was immediate and intense. Social media lit up with reactions, predominantly from Trump supporters who felt personally attacked. Many vowed to boycott Rachel Zegler's upcoming film, declaring they wouldn't spend money supporting someone they believed openly disrespected a large segment of the country. The outrage wasn't merely about her comments, but also the tone, which many perceived as disdainful and insulting. This was no longer just a political issue. It was about the message Zegler conveyed. For a movie like Disney's Snow White remake, which needed broad appeal to succeed, such remarks alienated a massive portion of potential viewers. The criticism extended beyond Zegler's political stance, with people questioning why Disney, a brand synonymous with family-friendly entertainment, remained silent in the face of such polarizing behavior. This silence only exacerbated the situation. Both sides of the political spectrum voiced disapproval. One side for Disney's failure to condemn her comments, and the other for not supporting her more openly.
Why? But look, they've got their reasons, and apparently it's all Donald Trump's fault. Look, the official trailer of Disney's Snow White movie has been released, and it's being slammed as woke. Let's just take a look at the trailer.
The timing of Zegler's remarks worsened the situation. The political climate was already tense following Donald Trump's recent election and dominating headlines. Instead of steering clear of controversy, Zegler dove headfirst into it, turning the Snow White project into a battleground for cultural and political debates. Fans who were already skeptical about the remake now had another reason to turn away. What could have been a magical revival of a classic became mired in controversy and division.
Apologise for her comments, but it's certainly not the smartest marketing move ahead of this film.
No, I mean, it's a great strategy putting out your leading actress to go ahead and piss off half of the American population and potentially causing a huge backlash from it.
The controversy deepened as people began questioning Disney's double standards. Gina Carano, another Disney actress, had been fired over political statements considered less inflammatory than Zegler's. Critics pointed out the inconsistency, wondering why Zegler retained her role despite offending millions. This perceived double standard further fueled the narrative that Disney had lost its way. The company's significant investment in the Snow White live-action remake only added to the stakes. A project that started as a simple reimagining of a beloved fairy tale had spiraled into a financial and public relations disaster.
She's going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
One of the first major issues was fan backlash over changes to the story and casting choices. To address these concerns, Disney opted for reshoots, which reportedly cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Despite these efforts, fans who saw leaked clips remained unimpressed. Instead of the magical fairy tale they adored, the film appeared to deliver a hyper-modernized version of the story, criticized as a feminist fever dream. This complete overhaul alienated longtime fans who cherished the original's nostalgic charm. The delays only made matters worse. The release date was pushed back repeatedly, with the latest postponement moving the film's debut to 2025. Each delay brought more bad press, skepticism, and questions about whether Disney had confidence in the project. The spiraling budget and mounting criticism left many wondering why the studio continued to pour resources into a seemingly doomed film.
Every hour she has to wear the dress. I mean, talk about biting the hand that feeds you. Not only are you being casted in a classic film to remake it, but you don't seemingly like your own.
The relentless backlash against Snow White became impossible to ignore. Fans were furious over changes to the story, the replacement of the Seven Dwarfs, and Zegler's dismissive comments about the original film. Her remarks, particularly her harsh words about Trump supporters, only fueled the fire financially. The project was a disaster. The inflated budget and repeated delays made it nearly impossible to justify further investment. At the same time, Disney had been grappling with a series of underperforming films, leaving little room for another high-profile flop. Shelving Snow White was a tough but necessary decision. The controversy highlighted deeper issues within Disney. Fans criticized the inconsistency in how the studio handled political controversies, pointing out the disparity in treatment between Gina Carano and Rachel Zegler. This double standard left many feeling that Disney prioritized politics over fairness and storytelling quality. The Snow White fiasco symbolized a broader problem. Fans accused Disney of prioritizing woke messaging over staying true to the timeless stories that built its legacy. The company's shift away from universally beloved tales toward more politically charged narratives alienated its core audience. The collapse of Snow White serves as a cautionary tale for Disney. Once synonymous with family-friendly, feel-good entertainment, the studio now risks losing its magic. Longtime fans are starting to doubt whether Disney still understands its audience. Audiences aren't opposed to change, but they want it to make sense. Stripping a story of its heart and soul to chase trends only erodes trust. Disney's repeated missteps, from unpopular remakes to perceived double standards, have chipped away at its once untouchable reputation. While Disney is